I want to return to Canberra. Huge political news today, the backflip on the stage 3 tax cuts. Someone who's been around politics a long time in the Labor Party's Eamonn Fitzpatrick, a former advisor to Labor Prime Ministers. Eamonn's here with me. What do you think of this decision? There's a lot of risk involved.
Well, risk, but I think it's a pretty bold move and one I think many people were hoping for, particularly the many Australians, Kieran, just struggling with their mortgage repayments. And I think that's the point we've seen the Prime Minister make today, is that it's taken some truly extraordinary circumstances to bring about a shift, which he now is obviously putting to his caucus. Everybody really needs to be comfortable with it because it's such a monumentous move. Having said all that, clearly he and the Treasurer, the economic team, can see some really tough times coming over the next year. And we are getting into the final year-long run-up to the next election. Clearly, they've made a calculation that the people they expect will be really hurting as the year gets in are the ones who hopefully will get the relief they need out of the changes he's talking about. I think the other interesting dynamic really is, where does Peter Dutton go? We haven't seen him at all since his palaver over that Woolworths mishit about them not selling cheap Chinese trinkets. We haven't seen him at all. Maybe he's away. And we've seen Susan Lee come out saying, you know, this is all a big lie, it's a broken promise. They would unpick the tax cuts. I think that's equally a hard sell, given that these are the very people, the very voters they're going to try to play for as well. And these are the people who they really need backing Peter Dutton. Are they seriously going to go forward through the course of the year saying, we're going to undo all of this?
It's not that easy, though, is it, for Anthony Albanese to break the promise and then to prosecute the case so that everyone who is going to benefit to a greater extent hears through the noise of broken promise. Because, as you know, Peter Dutton will be very effective in prosecuting that case.
Yeah, he's ruthless, just like Tony Abbott. Both very, they were ruthless. He was ruthless. Dutton equally ruthless, very effective. And we can expect a lot of that. But again, I think they're actually opening themselves up to a little bit of explaining to do. Once we get past all of the bluster, people are seeing the ones who are the most impacted, the ones who will benefit the most, will see a bit more in their pay packets every week, every month. They'll just get a little bit of help making those mortgage repayments. There'll be some more cost of living measures coming through. Let's not forget that. They've been foreshadowed. So we'll wait and see what they are. That leaves Dutton with a very, very singular message around broken promise, but then moving into explaining why he would then unpick these tax cuts again. That, I think, is also going to be a fascinating part.
Do you think is it overstating it to say, and I said this to Andrew Clennell earlier, but to me, this is a decision of the sort of magnitude that could decide the next election as to who wins this debate, who wins this fight. Broken promise on the one hand, fairer outcome on the other. That's really the dividing line. And to me, looking at this and having seen a lot of electoral cycles come and go, this to me seems like an inflection point.
Yeah, and that's why it's about character. You're absolutely right, Kieran. It comes down to character. The character being the broken promise, and then you've seen the Prime Minister today talk about the reasons for why he's done that, the reasons to help people who need it the most, the reasons that have changed since Scott Morrison brought this in the first place, the global economic downturn, the struggle people are facing. That's also character. What sort of character do you want running the show? Someone who will just barrel on continuously without any regard for changing circumstance, or a leader who's more considered? So
should Prime Minister Albanese just be up front tomorrow and say, this is a broken promise? It is. But to be honest and say things have changed, we've had to change with them.
Kieran, from what I've seen him say already, he's basically said this is a big change. He's taken responsibility for that. I think this is the guy who's taken responsibility for every action he has taken along the way. You know, you can accuse him of not breaking a promise last year over The Voice. He was criticised for that too. But he's a guy. He will do what he believes is in the interest of the country, and I think he'll take ownership of that.
Eamonn Fitzpatrick, great to see you. Thanks on a big day in politics.
Thanks, Kieran.
Talk to you soon.